Hey guys, I'm back with another video. Here we have Intamin's new roller coasters that they have just released. These were all just concepts of new models, and I think all of them are pretty interesting. You're gonna see a common trend. They look very similar to already existing roller coaster models. I kind of say I'm a little bit disappointed with Intamin. They're known for their awesome innovation, and it kind of feels like they are just copying other manufacturers. That being said, they do have four pretty cool roller coaster designs that we are going to cover in this video, so I hope you guys enjoy. So the first roller coaster concept that Intamin released that we are going to talk about is their LSM Vertical Coaster. This coaster looks pretty cool, but as many of you can notice, it looks very similar to the Skyrocket 2 model. Of course, that is a very popular roller coaster model manufactured by Premier Waves. In my opinion, this does look like an improved version of it. It has a couple very cool elements that differentiate it from the Skyrocket 2 model, and some of them look really cool. The main two elements that are quite different are the upside down launch and torpedo dive. Both of these elements look really cool, and I'm quite excited for them. The upside down launch, as you're seeing on the screen now, is obviously completely different from anything we've ever seen. I think it's going to be really cool. And the torpedo dive also looks very awesome. It kind of reminds me of the flying snake dive element on Stormrunner. Now the Zig Zag Loop. They're claiming that this Zig Zag Loop is the first of its kind. I don't know how I feel about that. It just kind of looks like a non-inverting loop to me. I'm sure there's some slight differences, but I don't know how I feel about that. As you see, it's kind of a knockoff non-inverting loop. I'm sure it'll still be awesome. Now, what also is important to touch upon on this video is the success of all these rides. And I don't know how successful this one's going to be. I personally think that it is not going to be as successful as the Skyrocket 2 model. This is just because when parks buy these Skyrocket 2 models, they don't do it to get the headlining attraction, the #1 most thrilling coaster. They want to buy these coasters for a relatively inexpensive cost with a still very high thrilling attraction. Obviously, this is a high thrilling attraction, but the Intamin versions are going to be much more expensive than the Premier Rides versions. So I don't really think that parks are going to want to spend that extra money when they could spend less money on a very similar version. Of course, obviously, I think there is going to be some of these models. It'll be very easy to market one of these as the first roller coaster with a upside down launch. So, of course, there's going to be some of these models, but I do not think it'll be as successful as the Skyrocket 2 model. So the next roller coaster design that Intamin released is their Ultra Splash model. This is very similar to Mach's Power Splash with a few differences. One of them being the track type. Intamin is using a single rail track type, as you can see, as opposed to Mach's normal double rail. The other main difference is the capacity issues. The Intamin version does not offer a double rotating station, but they do have a higher train capacity, and we'll get back to that later. The ride experience of this, I don't think there's too much to say about it. It's going to be very similar to the Mach Power Splash. Maybe because they are Intamin, they'll have slightly more powerful launches, but I think overall it's going to be a very similar experience. I think that this model will compete in the market with Mach's. for several reasons, and I think it will be just as successful, if not more successful, than Mock Ride's version. One factor that does play against Intamin is their reliability issues. I don't know if companies are going to want to pick Intamin for this, because this is a highly complex roller coaster model. So that could be one downside for Intamin. However, the cost of this roller coaster will be slightly cheaper than Mock's Power Splash. I believe this because on many other roller coasters, Mock rides and Intamin are both very expensive rides, but the Intamin version of this Ultra Splash will actually be cheaper because they do not offer a loading station, a double loading station. So when parks buy the double loading station, of course they're going to have higher capacity, but that also means more cost. With the Intamin version, they have a higher capacity train, so they don't necessarily need that extra loading station. So that'll definitely cut the cost of this ride while still having a decent capacity. So overall, I think it is again another very similar ride to the Mach Power Splash, but I think it will compete fairly well in the market. So the next roller coaster concept that Intamin has released is their GIGA Splash. This looks like a pretty unique ride that I'm honestly kind of excited for. It entails a long, relaxing pre-lift section where it kind of floats through the water, and then it reaches the panoramic view up the elevator lift. That looks super awesome. As you're going to see shortly, it is rotating around so you get a whole view of the park before you get to the top of that drop, which looks pretty cool. Now, the Giga Splash, the name is deceiving. No, it is not 300 feet tall. It is 130 feet tall. Why they are calling it a Giga Splash, I'm assuming for marketing reasons, although I don't really appreciate it because you're kind of deceiving anyone. But anyways, they're calling it Giga because it has a 300-foot long splashdown section. Yes, I know, that is really deceiving and kind of annoying, but it is what it is. I think this ride experience is going to be really cool though, because it is as you see, a modern take of the Shoots the Chute ride. So I'm excited for it and I really want to check one out. I think it will be successful, but it's not going to be the new best thing. It's not going to be at every single park, but I think they are going to sell quite a few models of this. This is just because it is a classic ride, but obviously a new and updated version of it. And I think parks are going to be interested in this new and improved classic ride. The fourth and final roller coaster concept that Intamin showed us is their Hot Racer model. This is a single rail coaster, kind of similar to the RMC Raptors. Now, I do think they are going to be quite different from the Raptors, and I'll talk about that in just a second. Intamin is showing off their three layouts called the Infinity, Overdrive, and Autodrome. I think they all look pretty cool, but of course the Autodrome is the biggest and looks the best. Now, I'm actually quite excited for this because I do think it is going to be quite different from the RMC version. Intamin's version that they are showing off now really focuses on low to the ground maneuvers. They have launches, of course, and they are, of course, racing coasters. I think that is really going to differentiate them from the RMC versions, so I think they will still be successful. Now, we haven't really seen RMC's Raptors really shoot off in success. They've built 3 models so far, which isn't bad, but not what RMC was hoping for. Now, for this reason, I think that Intamin's Autodrome model will be the only one that is really successful. We're seeing that parks they don't really want a cheaper option, which is crazy to see. Like Cedar Fair Parks, they want a good quality coaster. So that's why they are not going to pick Intamin's Infinity model. Intamin is already going to be expensive, so if they wanted a smaller but still thrilling coaster, they would go to RMC. So I think that their Intamin's Infinity and Overdrive models are not going to be that good. They're not going to be that successful. Their Autodrome model, however, looks very big, very unique, and very different from what RMC can offer. So in that case, I think that's why the Autodrome model will be quite successful. And I really hope I can make it out to a park that hopefully gets this in the future, because I think it'll be one crazy ride.